AWA XP R120, the legacy of a classic portable CD player with radio. Before we dive into the features and functionality of the AWA XP R120, it's important to understand where this product comes from and why it's more than just a piece of plastic with buttons and a headphone jack. It's a symbol of a different time, a different approach to music and technology, and a brand that, for many years, held a special place in the hearts of audio lovers all over the world. Let's go back to the beginning. AIWA, originally founded in Japan in 1951, started out as a manufacturer of microphones. Over time, the company expanded into audio electronics, and by the 1970s and 80s, it had become a household name in portable and home audio. For many people growing up during the 80s and 90s, AIWA was the brand you turned to if you wanted solid performance without paying the premium price of brands like Sony or Panasonic. In fact, AIWA became so successful and influential that it was eventually acquired by Sony in the early 2000s. But before that, AIWA had already built a reputation for innovation, especially in the portable audio sector. From compact cassette players to mini-component systems, and later CD players and MP3 devices, AIWA was always at the front lines of what people wanted: music, anywhere and anytime. The AIWA XP R120 is a perfect example of that philosophy. Released during a time when portable CD players were still widely used, but MP3 players and digital formats were already starting to take over, the XP R120 aimed to offer something more. Yes, it was a CD player. But it also included a built-in FM/AM radio tuner, which meant that you weren't limited to just your own discs. You could take your music with you and tune into live radio wherever you were. In a way, it was the last of a generation, the final evolution of portable analog listening before everything went fully digital. Let's take a closer look at the XP R120 itself. The design is classic AIWA, compact, lightweight, and functional. The plastic casing is durable without being bulky, and the buttons are clearly labeled and easy to press. One thing you'll notice immediately is the layout. Everything is intuitive. You have separate controls for CD playback and for radio tuning, with a digital display that helps you keep track of your current station or CD track. Speaking of the radio, that's one of the most interesting parts of this player. While many portable CD players at the time were focused solely on disc playback, the XP R120 added that extra flexibility. You could switch from your favorite album to a live radio station with just the press of a button. This was perfect for travel, commuting, or just relaxing at the park without needing to bring extra equipment. The radio supports both FM and AM bands, and reception is surprisingly decent for such a small device. Of course, it depends a lot on your location and signal strength, but for casual listening, it holds up quite well even today. Now, let's talk about the CD functionality. The XP R120 supports standard audio CDS, as well as CDRS and CDRWS. That means you could burn your own discs, mixes, compilations, or backups, and play them without issue. This feature became increasingly important in the early 2000s, as people began downloading and burning music from the internet, creating custom playlists long before the days of Spotify and YouTube. One of the most appreciated features of the XP R120 is its anti-shock protection. Like many CD players of its era, it includes a buffer system that reads the disc a few seconds ahead of time to prevent skipping. This made it usable on the go, in a backpack, while walking, or even during light exercise. AIWA called this electronic shock protection or ESP, and it worked quite well for everyday use. In terms of sound quality, the XP R120 holds its own. The headphone output is clean and powerful enough for most earbuds and standard headphones, and the bass boost feature adds a little extra punch for those who prefer a richer low end. It's not audiophile grade by today's standards, but it delivers a warm, enjoyable listening experience that many people still prefer over compressed digital formats. The display is small but functional. It shows the track number, time elapsed, and when using the radio, the frequency. It also indicates when ESP is active. Simple, but effective. The battery life is another highlight. The XP-R120 runs on 2 AA batteries, which means you don't need to worry about proprietary chargers or built-in batteries that degrade over time. You can use rechargeable AA cells or regular alkalines, and depending on the brand, you can get several hours of continuous playback. Of course, no device is perfect, and the XP-R120 does have its limitations. It lacks support for MP3 CDS, which some later models introduced, and it doesn't have line-out or digital output options for connecting to an external sound system. But then again, that was never really its purpose. This was meant to be a standalone, all-in-one player for personal listening. Now, let's go back to the brand itself. After being absorbed by Sony, the AIWA name slowly disappeared from the mainstream market. Sony discontinued most AIWA products by the mid-2000s, focusing on its own lineup instead. For a while, the AIWA brand went silent, until it was revived by a new company in 2017, aiming to recapture the spirit of the original AIWA products with a mix of nostalgia and modern design. That said, the vintage AIWA devices, especially those made in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, still have a loyal following. Collectors, audio enthusiasts, and people who grew up with these devices often seek them out for personal use or restoration projects. The XP-R120 is one of those models that represents the end of an era, just before smartphones and streaming services took over everything. There's something refreshing about holding a physical device, inserting a CD, tuning into a radio station manually, and just listening. No apps, no algorithms, no notifications, just music, the way it was meant to be enjoyed. In conclusion, the AIWA XP-R120 is a piece of audio history. It may not be the most advanced or flashy device, but it delivers what it promises: reliable performance, simple operation, and the freedom to enjoy your music your way. Whether you're a fan of retro tech, a curious listener, or someone rediscovering the joys of physical media, the XP-R120 is worth a second look. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment below. I'd love to hear your memories of AIWA devices or your thoughts on portable audio in general.